wherever you are. Just type in RJ 100.3 FM on TuneIn Radio, Streama, Radio Garden, and just type in RJ FM for online box radio. For DZRJ 810 AM, just type in DZRJ 810 AM on TuneIn Radio, Streama, and Radio Garden. Happy listening!
Wise men say.
Hello everybody, this is RJ. We are now level 2. That means you can go out and enjoy. Got a lot of living to do. Take note, we are reopening Bistro RJ for customers Valentine's night. You don't have to stay home all the time. Get out there and enjoy. We'll put together a great Valentine's show for you. 2 shows back to back. Elvis, got a lot of living to do, and disco dancing in one night. February 14, Monday. We have 2 reservation packages for your convenience. If you only want entrance and 1 drink, you pay 1,000 pesos only. If you want entrance with 2 drinks with a steak dinner, you pay 2,000 pesos. For Valentine's night, Bistro RJ opens early, 6 p.m. Dinner starts at 7 p.m. The Elvis show starts at 8 p.m. 4 Elvises. Douglas Masuda, Elvis of Japan. Bam Angping, runner-up Elvis of Asia. Noni Yambao, Elvis of the Philippines. And I will also pay tribute to Elvis. Right after the Elvis show, disco dancing. Dance to some Bee Gees, Frankie Valli, Earth, Wind and Fire, and ABBA music. We have young guest singers from the Roaring Twenties band, Thea Munhi. So get out of your house and enjoy this Valentine's and celebrate life. With our Valentine's special, 2 back-to-back shows. Elvis night, back-to-back with disco dancing. Wear your Nick shirts. Of course, bring your vaccination card. On February 14, Monday, make your reservations right now. Call or text 0906-221-1524 or go to facebook.com/RJ Bistro and Messenger RJ Bistro. By the way, we're gonna give you a free rose. This is RJ saying, see you Valentine's special, RJ Bistro at Dusit Thane Hotel. So call 0906-221-1524. I repeat, 0906-221-1524. Right now.
You are watching the multi-awarded Radio Bandido TV on Channel 224 Sky Cable and TV Plus boxes. Simulcast on DZRJ 810 AM. Informing, advising, and entertaining the Filipinos and OFWs around the world. Streaming live on www.facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM or on YouTube, channel RJAM News. To all Teleradio Bandido viewers and listeners, you can now watch Teleradio Bandido on our new YouTube channel, RJAM News. Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Don't miss out on our dynamite lineup.
Hello, Philippines, and welcome to the World News Jam right here on DZRJ and RJTV. My name is Eric Lecain, and I will be joined soon with Lali Tolentino as we discuss stories going on around the world, the stuff that our viewers have sent in, questions that they have given us. And by the way, Lali Tolentino is here live on the show. Got a little technical thing going on there, but she's here. And she's going to be delivering the questions that you have sent in during the week so we can talk about things going on around the world. Lali Tolentino. Now, Lali, thank you, goodness, for finally getting here on the show, getting past our little technical issues. Now, as you know, Lolly, coming soon is the day that men get in trouble because they have forgotten, and that would be Valentine's Day.
Well, it's up to man. If you want to make your woman happy, send her something. Text can work, but if you can afford to send flowers or, chocolate, do it. You know what? So you'll be happy. Make people happy, Eric. Don't stress.
It does not work. Woman wants flowers, or she wants a Toblerone. Not the little ones, but the big ones. She wants the big ones.
Yeah, because he's gonna take you. You're so cheap. Why small?
She doesn't want a little heart emoji. She wants something in the hand.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah.
So,
because if you're going to give a small one, she might think that you're cheap. Anyway.
not only cheap. Wink. Anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, so guys, please don't forget that I believe it's coming up tomorrow.
Yes.
Is Valentine's Day.
Flowers.
Whip out that credit card and get ready to send some flowers online, because she's going to be waiting for you to do something. Now,
yes.
Lolly Tolentino, do you have any plans for Valentine's? Because I will be staying at home in my bed crying as I do every year. What will you be doing, Lolly Tolentino, on Valentine's Day? Do you have a big plan?
No plan at all, because I never had any invitation or anything on Valentine's. So I'll maybe doing the same thing. Stay home, and I don't know, just do whatever. Just check my internet and watching people posting, whatever. And you know what? I don't really care much of that anymore. I think I'm too old. I think it's only for the high school, not for senior.
We'll just sit at home and make fun of the people that celebrate Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Speaking of people, we have a lot of questions this week from our viewing audience. And I know that you have those questions, though, that secret envelope that you have of questions that people have for us from stories that are going on around the world, that things that interest them. So Lolly Tolentino, let's go ahead and get going and see what our viewers are interested in this week.
All right, here we go. Let's start from May of Pasay. President Biden urges Americans to leave Ukraine immediately. Sounds serious? What do you know?
Well, I think the key word there is leave.
Okay.
That's the word that Biden gave Americans. Somewhat like when your girlfriend is mad at you because you did not send her flowers, leave. The word that Biden is giving Americans in the Ukraine, because Biden, as he said, this is not Afghanistan, this is not Iraq, this is not Syria, this is not some kind of terrorist organization. This is Russia, who has one of the largest armies in the world, and they're up against the United States, who has one of the largest armies in the world, and both have world-dominating firepower, and both have enormous nuclear capabilities. So where could this thing escalate to? So Biden basically is saying, you need to leave, because if you don't, we will not be able to help you later if this indeed becomes an all-out war. So according to the U.S. military, if Russia starts the invasion, they could reach Kiev in 48 hours. This thing could go really fast. And Biden made a point that even though it would be stupid for Putin to invade the Ukraine, it would hurt his country. The world would turn on him. But at this point, it looks like Putin doesn't care. He's a man on a mission for himself. His people in the world no longer seem to matter to him. So, I mean, as we have said before, Putin's reasoning is that the Ukraine is always and will always be part of Russia as far as he's concerned. They will never be a part of the West, and under the influence of the West, Putin is like, okay, Ukraine, you've had your fun. Remember now, you're my family, and now it's time to come home. And Ukraine is like, okay, I'm not your family. I'm just your neighbor, you crazy man. So Putin is like, well, okay, you're coming home whether you like or not. The problem Putin is having now is that the rest of his neighborhood does not like him. And Biden is meeting with Germany and UK and Italy and France and Poland, and all are meeting to discuss the worst possible case scenario, what they're going to do if Putin makes his move, and what they're going to do as a single unity. So right now, if you're an American and you're about to flee the Ukraine, go to Poland, because the U.S. forces will be there to collect you in Poland, because right now Russia they have military drills, which ups the possibility of accidents. You know, you're practicing on the border with heavy munitions, and this kind of thing could happen. So, you know, the U.S. is currently in talks with the Ukrainian military about what happens if there is a miscalculation and somebody shoots a gun across the border, and then that one tiny little, you know, bullet creates an all-out war. So, and everybody knows that this could happen, and this has happened before in world history. These fancy missiles go wrong, and then somebody thinks that somebody's shooting at them. So I think that that's what they're worried, is they don't want to give Putin a reason to start this war.
All right. So this is not the best time to go somewhere in that area, Eric. So I'm not going. Are you?
You know, this would, if you're thinking about vacationing in the Ukraine, which I'm not sure why you would, this might not be the best time to go to the Ukraine.
All right. If you don't want to go to Ukraine, go to Russia. Anyway,
I don't know if this is the best time. I don't know if this is the best time to go to Russia either, but no, let us know how it goes if you end up going to Russia. And then, but if you get stuck in the Ukraine, don't ask the United States for help, because Biden has come out and said, listen, hey, we gave you ample warning. You're there when the whole thing breaks out. We can't come in and save you.
Yep. Listen to Biden. Okay, let's go to Milo of Manila. What is this Canadian trucker protest? Can you explain what is happening and why?
Well, okay. All right. So this is a good example of the anti-vax movement and what kind of havoc their influence can have around the world. Because right now in the U.S., as we know, things are very easygoing. It's not quite as strict in the United States. Part of the reason is why the United States has 900,000 deaths. But anyway, as a trucker, when you bring your load from the U.S. to Canada, your truck is driving into a different country. And different countries have different rules, especially when it comes to COVID vaccines. Some countries are smart and safe and requiring anyone to enter the country a vaccine. It's a mandate. You must have a vaccine. So, America has tried to have vaccine mandates, as Biden tried to do it, and he went up against the Supreme Court, and they said, no, you can't have mandates. So that's the way it is in the United States. But in Canada, it's different. You must be vaccinated. So the truckers are out there protesting that they're having to get vaccinated. And at first, it didn't seem like that big a deal, but some are taking advantage of the situation, and it's getting worse and worse. And they are basically parking these giant trucks on highways and major intersections. And it's not like a regular protest where people just sit down in the street and the police can come and carry you away. These are trucks, like giant, huge trucks. So, they've set up encampments already, and have their own protest areas, and they're out there serving coffee to the truckers and giving them mittens, and the truckers will just sit in their truck and lay on their horn for 16 hours a day. Wow. And it's gotten really bad. They're chasing residents and harassing them in the streets, causing so much problems with shutting down the major highways, thinking that eventually the government's going to change their mind and they'll ease up on these rules. Or maybe it's not even the rules that they're just trying to make a point about this vaccine, that you don't have to take a vaccine, which is why, the whole title of this giant movement is called the Freedom Convoy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
with a big truck?
This has been interesting how this has played out. They are actually making some headway because they've been able to shut down several of the biggest automaker plants in Ottawa, to the point where people can't come to work. They've had to cancel shifts, and this is making a ripple effect to come down to the United States, because they can't bring the parts across. They can't ship the parts out to different places because they can't get them made, because they can't get to work. So this thing, and this Freedom Convoy, they raised $7.8 million on a GoFundMe page. This is this is not just some little group. So, the government, they sent out vehicles to try and get rid of some of these trucks. And then the towing companies are scared to cross the truckers. So the trucks are just sitting there. And this, just to finish out this whole thing was started by a right-wing party in Canada, a party that doesn't have any power. They're not part of the real government, but they're a bunch of guys from the QAnon group that says that the prime minister should be tried for treason and all this kind of stuff. They're saying they won't stop until the prime minister lifts his ban on unvaccinated people.
Ah, wow, there's still a lot of crazy people against the vaccine. There are millions and millions of people already.
It makes your head want to explode because the vaccine, tries to keep you from dying. And this almost seems like it's not about the vaccine anymore. It's about politicizing the vaccine. How can we push our right-wing conservative agenda by using the vaccine to do that? And, because right now it's working, because there's copycat trucker convoys popping up in Australia and New Zealand, and there's plans to have one in the United States and even Germany. So I think this whole way of protesting now using trucks is kind of catching on and could cause a lot of problems in the world.
Yeah, thank God we don't have that kind of truck here in the Philippines. Okay.
I don't think we have roads big enough. I don't think we, could we park a truck out on EDSA? Well, hey, EDSA's like that, a parking lot all the time anyway. It's got buses out there all the time. So I guess they're always...
but not this kind of truck. I mean,
not purposely trying to block traffic to create havoc and cause lots of problems, as many problems as they can.
Well, Filipinos, I think we're still better off here in the Philippines. So, whatever. You agree? If you agree with me or not, it's okay, Eric. And let's go to Mila of Tondo, Manila. Why did McConnell disagree with RNC and calls January 6th riot a violent insurrection?
All right. So, first of all, Mitch McConnell, who is the senator from Kentucky, just now stated that the riot on June 6th was not a bunch of Trump supporters voicing their right to free speech and just a simple protest, but rather a violent group trying to overturn an election. Thus, he is disagreeing with the Republican National Committee. Now, for me, if the riot had happened on January 6, 2022, I would say, okay, Mitch, thank you for saying this. It surprised me that you're actually doing the right thing on anything. However, it didn't happen then. It happened January 6, 2021, a year ago. So basically, McConnell has been waiting around to see how things play out. And now that things are not looking so good for the Republicans, he's come out and said the very, very obvious statement that this was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent a peaceful transfer of power. He's gone against the RNC in regards to how they have treated these two lone Republicans that have stuck their neck out to say that this is a bad thing that people did and going up against Trump. The problem is that why is he doing this now? And that is the question that everybody's asking. And the reason, in my opinion, it's the 2022 election. It's how the Republicans are coming out in the 2022 election, because now the Republicans are starting to divide and they don't need this. And McConnell has never done anything that I ever remember that hasn't benefited him in some way. And that, I'm not just talking because he's a Republican. Truly, he's only done things that have benefited him in some way. And this midterm election is going to be a big election for his career, because currently, before, he was the head of the Senate. And then when Biden came in, they lost the Senate because of Trump or whatever. And so if the Republicans can regain the Senate, he will regain power. And this is a big deal for him. So the problem now is McConnell has to figure out how to balance Trumpism, which is still very well alive in the United States, and and the actual truth of the matter, which is it was an insurrection and it was a violent, where they went in to try and kill people. So, he's worried that I think if he's stuck with the Republicans, that it could hurt him in this election. And I think that's why he's just now coming out and jumping to the other side. He just kind of goes which way the wind's blowing.
Yes, and my question there is, why now? Well, because, like I said, there's always politics there.
This truly is politics.
It is politics.
I don't know how many people are going to go, yay, Mitch, thanks for coming out and siding with the Democrats on this, because it's so obvious. They keep showing the videos of how violent this thing was. And to say that these people came there, as tourists, which is what the Republicans were saying. They came with just tourists and things kind of got out of hand. No, that's not what they were. They weren't tourists. They were a gang of people that had pre-decided that this is what they were going to do. And they went in to kill people. So, go figure. It was an insurrection. Thanks, Mitch, for coming out at the last minute. But, we wish that it had been earlier. But at least, he's saying something. He's worried. This midterm election, if the Republicans lose in the Senate, it's going to be harsh for them for the next 2 years. If they win, it'll be great for him, because then they can stop Biden from doing anything, and it'll make him look horrible. But if they lose, it's going to be tough, especially, because they're supposed to win. It's a 50-50 split right now in the Senate. So the Republicans are supposed to win back the states they lost, like Georgia. So let's wait and see if Mitch's plan, his devious plan, he's always got a devious plan, is going to work.
All right, let's wait and see again. All right, let's go to Jesse of Pasig. India is thinking of digital rupee launching and to tax crypto profits 30%. Do other countries do the same? Is this safe? These are talking about cryptocurrency here, right?
Yeah, is this safe? Okay, no digital currencies are safe. You never know how that wind is going to blow, especially the way things are in countries like India. And India now has looked at it and said, you know what? Hey, maybe we'll jump on this bandwagon and start our own cryptocurrency with the rupee, which is, and see what happens. And maybe this will work out for us. And most of this is related to taxes. People became billionaires overnight with cryptocurrency. And basically it's because it's all tax-free, because money is being made not in any country, but, in the ever-changing world of the cryptocurrency. So, India wants to create its own digital rupee. Getting rid of physical banknotes in India is the way they think the future is going to go. And they may be right, because China is doing the same thing. They've got their own digital yuan, which is actually being utilized in the Olympics right now. So, India wants to put out their currency. What they want to do is they want to make people use their cryptocurrency by taxing the heck out of all these other cryptocurrencies. And this is what's going to happen in a lot of countries. A lot of countries are trying to figure out how they're going to tax their citizens who are making big money on cryptocurrencies. And they're going to put a 30% tax on, any and all cryptos. So if you're an Indian and you've got your money in cryptocurrency, might be good news for you, that India is doing this. So this is something that I believe that we're going to start seeing around the world. The future of trading money is starting to change. And I think eventually the peso coin is going to go by the wayside.
But for me, I don't know how long would it take to be safe to do this, because if you don't have much money, how can you, use this cryptocurrency thing? I'm kind of scared of this yet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is the thing. When is cryptocurrency going to be available to the masses? Right now, it's just to the traders. It's to the people that have big money and can manipulate it. And there's a lot of small people that get in it, and then they lose their shirt, because it's the big guys that really manipulate the cryptocurrency. They wait till a whole bunch of people get in it, and then they sell short. It's like I said, when people keep asking me if it's safe, I'm like, I can't be the one to tell you. So a lot of people have made a lot of money, but a lot of people have lost a lot of money. And if they had a way to control the cryptocurrency so the masses, the regular Joe on the street who's buying groceries, can all of a sudden be using cryptocurrency where he does not have to, put cash in his Gcash account, that he can have a cryptocurrency account and he can go into 7-Eleven and use it. And then all of a sudden we are now into the future of cryptocurrencies, because right now it's just traded. You can buy stuff on the web. I mean, in the beginning, it was designed so you could buy, drugs and pay for people to kill other people. It was a way to not be traced, a way to launder money. But now it's become, since it's kind of become into the mainstream, I think that's what's going to come soon, is who's going to be the first one to really make it so that the masses can start buying and utilizing cryptocurrency.
All right, let's wait. At the moment, in the meantime, maybe I'll just use our local currency.
Can't use cryptocurrency on the Jeep yet, but it's coming.
Maybe. All right.
Take a long time from now, though.
I know. Okay, let's go to Ren of Santa Rosa, Laguna, your favorite guy.
Imagine getting in the Jeep and the guy turns around and goes, crypto or peso?
All right.
Ren.
All right. His question is, what's behind the drama of the 2022 Beijing Olympics? Why are Chinese shaming their own athletes? Too much drama. Okay, so tell me.
It's this Olympics. I mean, okay, China is known for punishing its athletes who don't perform well. I mean, this has happened before. But in this Olympics, we saw something different. The public is going after that skater who fell. And the thing that makes this such an interesting story and so much drama is she was not born in China. She was born in America, and she doesn't even speak Chinese. And she was picked over China-born athletes. So they're calling her an embarrassment to the Chinese team, that she should have never been allowed to skate for China in the first place. They are really, especially online, are just trashing this poor girl because of the fall that she had. This is not the only problem, the only drama that's going on in the Olympics right now. The Olympics is supposed to be a time to, forget the politics and the differences and the problems in the world. So the countries come together and compete in sports as friends. But the Chinese Olympics has been anything but that. I guess many countries boycotted officials from ever going there, except for places like Russia, who used the chance to shore up their support for the Ukraine by going to the Olympics. But there's a whole bunch of other problems that they're having. The accommodations, they're awful. These ridiculous quarantine problems that they're having. And of course, Russia is there. And they are, as per usual, testing positive for banned substances.
Wow.
So, the big news in the middle of all this is that, and this is just, I think, crazy, you can't protest at the Chinese Olympics. So if you protest about human rights, then you get punished somehow. I'm not sure how that is, but the Chinese have put out a rule, and it's in the rule book, that you cannot speak out at a medal ceremony or any place that's live about human rights issues. So that's kind of bizarre. And then there's the 300 plus athletes that made it to China to compete, and they got COVID while they were there or along the way, and they've all been disqualified. I mean, can you imagine? You spend, the last 4 years of your life getting ready for this, and then you get there and you get COVID. There's pictures coming out of the food, and the food is like horrible looking. And they're saying, nobody wants to eat the meat in China because it might end up causing you to test positive for a banned substance because they put banned substances in their meats. But this thing that happened, to this one skater has become big news lately, this Russian skater who they found out that she tested positive for a banned substance back in December. She failed her drug test in December and was removed from the team. And then Russia made the decision themselves to reverse that and put her back on the team. And she won this competition in December, and they were going to revoke the medal. And then somehow they didn't revoke the medal because she tested negative before the competition and after the competition. But during the competition, right before, she did test positive and was suspended. So this is all going to go to court because they won the gold medal in the team competition for skiing. And she could win more medals. She's one of the greatest. She's the first skater to ever land a quadruple jump for women.
Really? Wow.
She could win a bunch of medals. So what is she going to do? Skate, win a bunch of medals, and then they decide to disqualify her after the fact, after the courts had made their decision. So this is getting kind of crazy. Now, in the team competition, the United States got second. So, of course, they wouldn't mind so much if the Russians got disqualified. And Canada came in fourth. So, of course, Canada is like really interested in this because if Russia gets disqualified, then they get the bronze medal. So, I mean, it's just, there's so many things going on in this Chinese Olympics. Just every day, we're not even watching the sports themselves. We're just watching the drama.
Yeah. What? Why so many drama all over the world? Whether politics, sports, I don't know, Olympics.
I don't know. It's just insane. I mean, it's interesting. This stuff that's going on in the Olympics, but I've seen a lot of Olympics, and there's always drama in the Olympics, but nothing like what's happening in China. Nothing like where people keep sending out pictures of the food.
Wow. Why food?
Food looks disgusting. Anyway.
Oh, no. All right. Okay, let's go to Pastor Ed of Pasig. If NATO will give assurance to Russia that Ukraine will not be a member, do you think Russia can be appeased and pull out its troops from the border? But what will be the repercussions, especially since the oil pipeline passes through Ukraine to reach Western market? How will Ukraine react?
Okay. I mean, who knows what Russia's going to do? I mean, Ukraine is not going to join NATO right away, but they want to. Partly because, the Ukraine has continuously over the last however long they have broken away from Russia, have shown their interest in wanting to join NATO. Of course they do. Nobody trusts Putin. We know. I mean, because of the things he's done in the past. And if the Ukraine joins NATO, it's going to burn Putin to no end because he does not want the Ukraine to be part of the West. It's part of Russia. He doesn't want his own people to see the Ukraine having that life of a Western country after they, would join with NATO, which is what would happen. And this would weaken Putin's power in Russia, especially if he loses this battle. And right now, Putin believes this is all so unfair to him. Ukraine belongs to Russia. It should be under the control of Russia. It should not align itself with NATO. And if it does, then he realizes he will never get it back. And it would be a slap in the face to Putin. And it would, like I said, it would weaken his control of the Russian border, which I believe worries him so much because he's worried that NATO is going to creep a little closer to keep him out. But NATO is not going to, just say, okay, we'll never let Ukraine in. They're never going to say that. Of course, I mean, that was his demand. Of course, that's, NATO's not going to say that. So I think that in regards to this pipeline that he was talking about in the question, I don't believe that Russia is going to turn off the gas. I think if Ukraine If they go to war and Ukraine and NATO steps in and the United States steps in and they push Russia back, Russia has that card that they can play. Well, we have the gas line. We'll just turn it off. They're not going to turn that off because if they turn that off, it's going to be like Duterte saying all of a sudden, no one is allowed to work overseas. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. It would be a huge blow to his economy, which is already weak. And the United States holds so many cards here, not just military. If Russia decides to go into the Ukraine and do hand-to-hand combat, Joe Biden has threatened to cut off the SWIFT banking transfers to Russia. And this would hurt Russia more than any bomb. No more money transfers within banks to Russia. I mean, that would just devastate them. So, this is something, if he turns off the gas, okay, they have to figure out a way to deal with it. But if they turn off the banks, I mean, that will hurt Russia for decades. For decades, they wouldn't be able to come back from this. So, in my opinion, Russia can't afford an all-out war.
Well, I hope not. I hope they will just think right. I mean, Putin, talk to me and I will give you South China Sea instead of Ukraine.
Give them the Spratly Islands. Let them take that. Let them take Ukraine. But you know what? Here's what I think is going to happen is Putin, he has to save face. He's going to rush in. He's going to fight the Ukrainians for like a day, and then he's going to rush out, and he's going to claim victory. I think that's what's going to happen because he can't just leave. He put 100,000 troops on the border. He can't just disappear. This reminds me of Iraq when George Bush put 200,000 troops on the border of Iraq. And they were saying, well, okay, Iraq needs to surrender. Okay, it doesn't matter if Iraq surrendered. They were going to go in anyway. They're not going to bring 200,000 troops there and just sit there and then just go home. No, Putin brought 100,000 troops there. He's going to do something. Something is going to happen. Now, I think it's not going to be as big as we think it's going to be, but it's going to be just enough that Putin can go in, do something, scare everybody, and then turn around. And then on his television, there in Russia, he can say, see, we stood up against NATO and pushed them back. And what do you bet that's what he's going to do?
Yeah. Anyway. Right.
That's my prediction. But yes, bring him, give him the Spratly Islands so that we can be done.
Yep. All right. Now let's go to Angie Oparanyake. In a picture, this is kind of cute. In a picture, Putin and Macron meeting, they really observe social distancing, but Macron refused to do COVID test. What do you think?
That was such a funny picture. I mean, there's no trust of Russia.
Yeah.
Russia, they failed doping tests. They poison people in the most sophisticated ways. They do bizarre experiments in secret. So Macron wasn't going to go anywhere near a Russian government doctor to take any kind of test, much less give them a DNA sample of his spit. So instead, he opted for this super long table in this meeting instead between him and Putin to discuss the Ukrainian situation. So Putin supposedly wanted to sit a little bit closer, but in order to speak to Putin, you got to be tested first in Russia, and that was not going to happen as far as the French people were concerned. So what we got was this very comical picture of these two sitting on this long table very far away from each other, just screaming across the table. Yeah. Now, as you know, the interesting thing was recently Putin was seen with President Xi sitting very close to him. And I think this, has a lot to do with basically Macron is not Putin's friend and Xi kind of is his friend now. So, after this meeting, with the French, Macron came in, going to have the meeting. They're going to work something out. So after the meeting was over, the French said that the Russians had agreed to refrain from these military maneuvers near the Ukrainian border so there wouldn't be any kind of accident. To which the Russians immediately said, we don't know what the French are talking about. So this is typical Putin. This comes right from the Putin playbook. He's there to intimidate other leaders, which is what he does. When Angela Merkel came to meet Putin, he allowed his black Labrador retriever to run loose in the room because he knows that Angela Merkel is afraid of dogs. Crazy. He's an autocrat leader. That's what he does. He intimidates his adversaries, not unlike the Philippine president does. But, this is what the Ukrainian border conflict is. It is a show of intimidation to try and push NATO back so NATO doesn't infringe on that Russian border. And that's what this is all about. Now, Macron thought he was going to go in there and work with this guy and come up with the solution. He was totally mistaken because, Putin, what his thing is lying and manipulation. That's what he does. So Macron's actions have been called a sword stroke in the water. So it looks really nice, but it doesn't really have any effect, which is kind of what happened. Macron, wants to be the guy. He wants to be the replacement for Angela Merkel. He wants to go down in history as the one that tamed the beast of Russia and stopped a war. But, Putin doesn't play by the rules. He's a cheater. And, Macron came in, thought he was going to do all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people have said he just wasted his time.
Well, you know what? In my opinion, it's okay. At least he got a balls to talk to Putin. That's one thing.
I mean, what came of it is we got a really funny picture to make fun of these two leaders sitting at this really long table. But I don't think
meters. If I'm not mistaken, one thing I read is like 12 meters. I was like, oh my goodness, how can you talk to somebody? I cannot. That's funny. Anyway,
pass the wine. Or can you pass the vodka? I don't know what they would serve there in Russia. But I think, if Macron thought he was going to change anything, he was whistling Dixie. Of course, they wouldn't do that in France. But, I don't think that anything came of this really. I think it was Putin's chance to see if he could intimidate the West a little bit. And he probably did. I mean, he's a master at doing this.
All right. Putin, I'm getting interested really to talk to this guy. I want to challenge him. Anyway, let's go to...
You can get a meeting on one of those long tables.
Yes, maybe longer. Anyway, let's...
Bali and the long table. All right.
Yeah, that would be put in the history. Anyway, let's go to Manny of Makati. Okay, Philippines. SWS survey, 51% of Filipino expect COVID-19 crisis to end 2022. What do you think?
All right. Let's take a look. Okay, it's the fourth quarter survey of the social weather survey. We've looked at this survey many times in the past basically it's a survey of what the average Filipino is thinking. And they surveyed 1,440 people across the nation and, what they thought about the coronavirus. And it's kind of interesting the way this survey turned out. They asked the Filipino people, will the COVID virus be gone in 2022? And in Manila, 49% said it will end this year. And 41% in the Visayas thought it will end. But the interesting thing was 63% of Mindanao believe it will be over soon. So the Mindanaoians believe it's going to be done. And I think the interesting thing is the majority of people believe that President Duterte should enact a mandate, a legal mandate that everyone should have a vaccine. 51% said that they believe that Duterte should enact a law. And that was highest in Manila. And of course, lowest in Visayan region. In Visayan region, I believe that because most of the Visayans that I know, they would hide. They would hide if there was a mandate because they believe that the vaccine will kill them. But 51% said that people should not be allowed to go to work until they are vaccinated or have a biweekly PCR test. And 49% said people should not be able to dine in restaurants unless they have a vaccine. So it's kind of split right down the middle. Most of these numbers are 51%, 49%. So it's interesting how the Filipino people think about this vaccine. And what would happen, do you think, if Duterte said, okay, let's mandate the vaccine? I think, that would be an interesting thing to try because it would not work in the United States. There would be protests, there would be truckers lined up, blocking the highways. A lot of people in the Philippines that I know, they won't take the vaccine, but they'll hide. They'll just hide because they won't take the vaccine because on Facebook it says you're going to die. And the press is trying to cover it up, that people are dying from the vaccine, just craziness. But I think most people would go along with it. And I think a lot of people, they want it to be over more than they're worried about the vaccine.
Well, so, all of us want this COVID to be over as soon as possible. But, we know that it doesn't work that way. There's still many things will happen. Look, there's we have election here and there will be a lot of gathering, all of this. And even now, if you go out, you go to the restaurant, you can see people. I mean, because they're excited to see each other and, without even, I don't know, maybe they're vaccinated because they were able to get into the restaurant. So, and, there's so many things. So there's so many factors to consider. Yeah, of course, we pray hard. I hope this will happen, but we don't know.
Do you think that the virus will be over in 2022?
Honestly, no.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, first thing, we're going to have a bunch of waves. It's going to come back. It's going to come back a little bit, and then it'll go down a little bit. Then it'll come back a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be over. I mean, we thought it was going to be over in 2020, and then in 2021, and now 2022, and it's still evolving. The virus is still evolving. And we still only have just over 50% of the population here that's vaccinated. So I think that, and now foreigners are coming in. So I think we're going to have a couple of waves, but I don't think it's going to end in 10 months. I think it's going to go a little bit beyond. It's great thinking to believe that it would be over in 2020, but I think that most likely it will probably last a little bit longer.
Yeah, and again, if you guys are watching or listening to it, just get your vaccine. It's for free. So with that, maybe, we'll get this virus thing over 2022. My wishful thinking.
And look at Lolly Tolentino. Lolly Tolentino has had 3 vaccinations so far. She's had the COVID virus, and look closely at her. She is not dead.
Yeah, I'm alive. I'm healthy. I don't know what's the problem with other people. I mean, guys, I am Miss Omicron, so because I had it. So, I mean, all of us will get it. I mean, just be protected. That's all I can
say. If you have a vaccine, it'll be like having a cold.
Yep. All right. Now, let's go to George of Marikina. What is your feedback in opening the country to tourists and business people? What have you heard, Mr. Lecain?
Well, after 2 long years, foreigners are being allowed to come back to the Philippines. Granted, they must have an approved vaccine certificate and a PCR test. They don't need to quarantine. They don't need to stay in a quarantine facility, which was a big issue before, because if you're granted a 30-day visa and 2 weeks of that, you have to stay in quarantine, what's it worth it to come here? So after one of the worst lockdowns, that caused one of the worst economic recessions in history, the Philippines is back. Beach resorts, which resemble ghost towns before, they're going to be brimming with white people and Indians and Chinese and Koreans once again. But Duterte has come out and said, hey, listen, we're not over the hump yet. We may be allowing foreigners to come in, but it's not over yet. People who are not vaccinated need to get their shot. And then he made this great statement. He said, if you're unvaccinated and you die, well, then good riddance. So, it's so Duterte. But, I guess the question that we're going to have to ask, because right now foreigners are coming back. And if foreigners come back and the cases start to go up again, what is that going to mean? And that is a question that everybody's asking. Will the government have to shut down the borders again?
Well, I hope we will not shut down the border. I hope most foreigners will just follow whatever the protocol that we have here in the country and don't be like Here in the Philippines, that you can be the king, and oh, in our country it's like this and like that. Because I heard that many times coming from foreigners. Don't compare your country to the Philippines. We have our own rules. Just follow.
This is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because like in the United States, you don't have to wear a mask. You can, there's no mandates for masks. Biden tried to have mandates for masks. He couldn't have it. So here in the Philippines, if you go to the mall, you have to be wearing a mask. How many foreigners are going to come to the mall and be mad because they have to have a mask? They got to go home and get a mask. And, when they have to put on their mask in a restaurant, or when they have to, they're in some place, a huge group of people, and the guard comes up and says, you need to put on your mask. And they go, well, I don't need to wear a mask because we don't, I'm an American. And I think, this is where, there's a fine line that's going to happen here, because the Philippines is still in COVID.
Yes.
They're still fighting COVID. There's still many rules here. And so all these foreigners that come in, as usual, have big egos and think they're the king of the hill. And they want to come in. It's like, hey, that's not the way it is here. And you're a foreigner. We learned very quickly before, you don't mess around with this COVID thing as far as like arguing about the rules here. You need to follow the rules. And I know because, it's happened to me. I've gone to, airplanes, and they said, you need to have a COVID test to get on the plane. And I'm like, oh, I had a COVID test before. And like, no, you have to have a COVID test now. And they won't let me get on the plane. And that happened to me once. So that's one thing that foreigners need to realize, is that, you have to follow, once you get here, once you come into town, you need to follow the rules that the Philippines has ensued.
Yeah, they should. If I see you violating the rules of the Philippines, I'm gonna give you a punch. So better be careful. Don't abuse.
A finger wag from Lali Tolentino.
Yes, don't ever do that, because you know what? I got COVID myself, so you better watch out, because we want to protect everybody. We want to welcome everyone in this country, because we want to see you guys here. But please, just follow our protocol.
I wonder how many marriages there will be in February. Like all these foreigners come in and they hurry up and get married because they know that the Philippines is going to shut down again. How many visa applications are going to be for residency with your new wife that you have, because they're so scared that the Philippines is going to shut down again. So I think this Valentine's Day is going to be big.
Well, to some people, I think so. Yeah, but you can. But now you can get married online, so there's no problem. In case you cannot make it here, there's marriage online.
By the way, you can get married online in the United States, but you cannot get married online in the Philippines.
Yes,
I know that for a fact. Anyway.
But yeah, I know. But then, just in case you are, some people wants to whatever. I don't care. It's your problem anyway. So just when you get to the Philippines, do whatever is right.
Lali Tolentino will wag her finger at you.
Yes. All right.
Punch you.
All right. A lighter question before we end our show, Eric. This one is from Ingrid of Las Piñas. Do you think Florists will make money this Valentine 2022?
I mean, I don't think, that much has changed with this silly holiday. I mean, if you don't buy your girl flowers on February 14th, she's going to get mad at you. So it's just worth it to go ahead and do it. So most guys are going to, buy their girl something, some flowers or something to try and avoid that. So I think the florists are going to make money. I think they're going to make, and with all these foreigners coming in, I'm sure, there's going to be some of them that are going to be buying stuff from the florists. So, in the past, COVID was a great excuse for not having to buy your girlfriend flowers. Oh, it's COVID, honey. I can't buy the flowers because, it's COVID. Even though you buy flowers online, I don't know. But anyway, foreigners are back and they're going to be buying flowers. And I think this Valentine's is going to be more normal than the last two. So, there you go. I think, like I said, we want the entire economy to start coming back. And we're hoping that this move that the Duterte administration has made to allow people to come back to the Philippines is going to jumpstart the economy back in line. Because some people are saying, the doom and gloom people, the economy is going to be messed up for the next decade. So I think the quicker they were able to get this, to get the borders open and get people back in here and get people to spend money, and especially doing it right now on Valentine's Day, because the surplus of people that are coming in, that the people that are going to be coming in are boyfriends.
Whoa, okay.
They're going to be, if we did a survey, I bet you the highest number of people coming into the country on February 10th are going to be boyfriends. And I think, this Valentine's Day is going to mean a lot.
And maybe most of those guys they met online. That's my guess only.
I think, I think a lot of it is people that were in relationships before, and the guy had to leave and he left and then couldn't come back. And then a lot of them are new relationships, people that, we were stuck indoors for how many months indoors with nothing but your phone or your laptop. And a lot of people met a lot of people during that time. And a lot of people fell in love. And this is the chance that they have been waiting for. And the fact that it coincides with Valentine's is just grand, I think. That all these people coming back. I mean, I wish they had a survey at the airport to say, are you coming back to see your girlfriend? And I bet you most of them, that's what most of them would be.
Well, I hope. But you know what? I have my friends who are into flower business. Most of the orders they're getting are from overseas, but they're from the OFW, sending flowers to their, family, their wives, girlfriend. It's not really the foreigners, and because maybe some of the foreign, they just broke up, so they don't need to send flowers. But then if you want to, there's so many stories about this Valentine, Eric. So for those people they think they are in love, well, just go ahead. And you think you are pretending to be in love, good luck to you.
If you want to get her back, this is a good time to do it. Because right now, I think a lot of people are going to be sending flowers because we can't use the COVID excuse this year. She's going to say, well, wait a minute. It's not, it's not really COVID anymore. COVID is ending and you're still not sending me flowers and you're still using this excuse. So I think maybe that hopefully the florists this year will do better than they did last year because of the fact that we are coming out of this. It's not going to be in 2022. It's not going to end. We're still going to be wearing masks in December of 22. I bet you anything, but it'll be closer. And like I said, we're going to have another wave because all these foreigners are coming in and COVID's going to go up. I guarantee it's going to go up and then it's going to go back down. And then it probably will bounce around a little bit here. I don't think it'll ever go back to what it was, but it's not going to go away in the next couple of months, especially with a lot of new people coming. And, a lot of people from foreign countries where they're a little laxed on the rules. And so I'm sure, mark my word right now that COVID is going to resurface here in the Philippines. But, I think it's not going to be far after 2022 where we're going to be back to no mask wearing, level 1, normal, regular traffic and politics are going to take the headline and COVID is going to be going by the wayside.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. So we just have to be ready and careful all the time.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of things, in the world right now that are going to overshadow COVID. And we can't, we don't want COVID because right now, like I said, we've been talking a lot about the Ukraine. Very soon, the Ukraine is going to hit every television in the world because when that war starts, that's going to be our focus. And everybody's going to kind of forget about COVID for a while. And I know that's what is going to happen because that's going to be the number one story. And, it's good that there's another number one story other than COVID. It's bad that it's going to be a world war possibly coming to, to things that's going to go on. But I believe that we're going to start getting back into other news, and then we're going to start to have news days where we don't even talk about COVID anymore.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to that, But, mask to me is okay. I don't need to put lipstick.
I mean, I don't have to brush my teeth. But I think that the mask thing, that will be the key. Mm-hmm. When whoever the president is at the time says, okay, you no longer need to wear a mask in the mall, that will be the key to the ending of COVID for the Philippines, as well as the ending of our show today. So, Tolentino, for our Valentine's Day show here on the World News Jam on DZRJ and RJ TV. My name is Eric Lecain, and this is Lolly Tolentino. Everybody, continue to be safe out there, and we'll see everybody next week.